Welcome to this video on reactive adversity with data-driven detectors trained on real energy sequences. In this video, we discuss the detection performance of a reactive adversary that is equipped with full duplex radios. It injects jamming energy on victim's frequency band while simultaneously monitoring different network frequencies to detect the presence of potential countermeasures. Let us first discuss the threat model. We consider a wireless network consisting of four users, namely Alice, Charlie, Tom, and Frank, who communicate with Bob using their allocated uplink frequencies. Out of these users, Alice is communicating some critical information to Bob. Hence, she is a potential victim of denial of service attack from a reactive adversary. In this network, a reactive adversary, namely Dave, is also present. He injects jamming energy over Alice's frequency band, denoted using FAB, while simultaneously monitoring different network frequencies to detect the presence of potential countermeasures. Against such a reactive adversary, we propose cooperative mitigation strategies wherein we ask Alice to tune into a helper's frequency band. Alice and the helper, namely Charlie, use a part of their energies, denoted using alpha, to communicate their information symbols to Bob over Charlie's frequency band, which is denoted using FCB. They pour their residual energies on the FAB band using shared secret keys in order to mimic the signaling scheme that existed prior to the implementation of the countermeasure. Now we will discuss the signaling scheme on the FCB band. The transmission of information symbols is divided across two time slots. During the first time slot, Alice and Charlie pour 1 minus alpha and alpha energies respectively to communicate their information symbols to Bob. They use on-off keying and quadrature phase shift keying respectively. As Charlie is equipped with full duplex radio, he listens to Alice's bit during the first time slot while simultaneously communicating his own information symbols. He decodes that bit and incorporates the same into his own symbol, which is transmitted in the second time slot in the form of energy and phase modifications. Now we will discuss the signaling scheme on the FAB band. No information is being transmitted on the FAB band. During the first time slot, Alice and Charlie pour alpha and 1 minus alpha energies to form pseudorandom bit sequence using a shared secret key. While Alice handles the formation of pseudorandom bit sequence during the second time slot. For more details on the threat model, the countermeasures, and the implementation of these countermeasures on a software-defined radio-based hardware testbed, please refer to the accompanying video. We would like to bring attention of the viewers to the fact that the reactive adversary Dave uses data-driven detectors that employs supervised and unsupervised machine learning classifiers to learn discriminative patterns on the observed energy sequences. Dave uses these machine learning models to detect the presence of countermeasure. Here, class 0 corresponds to the before countermeasure setup. In that scenario, Charlie transmits QPSK symbols with unit energy to communicate with Bob on the FCB band. As a result, class 0 contains the energies of the received IQ samples of unit energy QPSK symbols. Now we will explain the procedure to collect these IQ samples. We use two Adam Pluto devices and establish connection between them such that one acts as Charlie and the other as Dave. Each Adam Pluto is connected to a Windows 11 machine running MATLAB where all baseband signal processing is performed, while the Adam Plutos perform the RF transmission and the transmitter and receiver setups follow the standard Adam Pluto QPSK examples available in Matchbox with appropriate modifications incorporated to implement the corresponding setup. These experiments are conducted at a carrier frequency of 2.1 GHz, maximum transmit power of 7 dBm, antenna gain of 2 dBi in an indoor quasi-static environment with both line of sight and non-line of sight components with the distance between Charlie and Bob of 0.47 meters. We modulate both preamble and payload using unit energy QPSK symbol. We plot the constellation diagram of the received symbols obtained after the carrier synchronizer block in the received chain. From the plots, we can observe that the constellation looks well clustered and we can faithfully receive 4 QPSK points. This observation obtained after the carrier synchronizer block in the received chain for training and testing purposes. Now we will discuss class 1, which contains energies of the received IQ samples that deviate from unit energy QPSK, representing the countermeasure effect. In a realistic scenario, the countermeasure samples are not available to them during training, and they must detect the presence of countermeasure based on unseen signal characteristics. Thus, assuming that countermeasure alters scaling or modulation formats, we construct a surrogate class 1, which consists of equal proportion of 16 QAM, 64 QAM, QPSK with average energy of 0.1 and QPSK with average energy of 0.01. Now we will discuss the hardware testbed setup for 16 QAM. We use the same setup which was there for unit energy QPSK symbols. In that same setup, we change the modulation scheme of the payload part of the frame from QPSK to 16 QAM while the preamble is still being modulated using unit energy. We transmit these frames at the receiver end. We plot the constellation diagram of the received symbols obtained after the carrier synchronizer block in the received chain. We can observe that we can faithfully receive 16 points. The constellation diagram looks dense because of the smaller Euclidean distance between these symbols. This shows the correctness of our hardware setup for 16 QAM. In the same setup, we change the modulation scheme of the payload part of the frame from 16 QAM to 64 QAM, while preamble is still being modulated using unit energy QPSK. We transmit these frames. We plot the constellation diagram of the received IQ samples obtained after the carrier synchronizer block in the received chain. We observe 64 points in the constellation diagram. The constellation looks closely packed because of the smaller Euclidean distance between the symbols. In the same setup, we change the modulation scheme of the payload part of the frame from 64 QAM to QPSK with average energy of 0.1. The preamble is still being modulated using unit energy QPSK. We transmit these frames and we plot the constellation diagram of the received symbols obtained after the carrier synchronizer block in the received chain. From the constellation diagram, we can observe that it looks dispersed due to the corresponding reduction in effective signal-to-noise ratio. This is because for low average energy transmissions, the automatic gain control AGC at TAFE boost the power level of the received frame to a desired operating level. As a result, the noise also gets amplified. In the same setup, we change the average energy from 0.1 to 0.01 while preamble is still being transmitted using unit energy QPSK. We transmit these frames and at the receiver end, we plot the constellation diagram of the received symbols obtained after the carrier synchronizer block in the received chain. From the constellation diagram, we can observe that it looks more dispersed as compared to 0.1 average energy and unit energy. This is because of the corresponding reduction in effective SNR. Now that we have established the correctness of the hardware setup for surrogate class 1, we store the received IQ samples obtained after the carrier synchronizer block in the received chain for 16 QAM, 64 QAM, QPSK with average energies of 0.1 and 0.01, which will be later used for training purposes. Now we will discuss the testing dataset for after countermeasures setup. We implement the proposed countermeasures using SDR-based hardware testbed. For detailed discussion on the implementation of the proposed countermeasures using these testbeds, please refer to our video on implementation of cooperative countermeasures using software-defined radio-based hardware testbed. This is how a typical constellation diagram looks like for the 2 time slots of the proposed countermeasures. We conducted the DTRTF experiment for alpha is equal to 0.9901 as the value of alpha, which minimizes the sum of the probability of error at Bob and probability of detection using the instantaneous energy detector is close to 1. For more reference, we store the received IQ samples obtained after the carrier synchronizer block in the received chain of the proposed countermeasures for both time slots for testing purposes. Next, we created different folders to store the collected training and testing dataset. Under class 0, we have unit energy QPSK symbols. We conducted 15 independent experiments and stored the received IQ samples as .mat files. Under surrogate class 1, we have 16 QAM, 64 QAM, QPSK with average energy of 0.1 and 0.01. For each of them, we conducted 15 independent experiments, collected the received IQ samples, and stored the .mat files in the corresponding folders. Under countermeasure samples, we implemented the DTRTF scheme, which consists of 2 time slots. Next, we uploaded these folders in the Google Drive so that they can be later used in Google Colab, where we will be running our machine learning classifiers. Next, we move on to Google Colab. We have a file called ML Detection Evaluation. First, we mount the drive so that we can use the uploaded datasets in Drive. Next, we uploaded all the .mat files corresponding to unit energy QPSK and concatenate it to form a unified dataset for class 0. We also print the final concatenated shape for class 0. Under surrogate class 1, we have 16 QAM, 64 QAM, QPSK with average energies of 0.1 and 0.01. For each of them, we uploaded the corresponding .mat files and concatenated it. As they absorbs the energies of the received IQ samples, we obtain the corresponding energies of the datasets. For demonstration purposes, we use frame number 5. We highlight that for training purposes, we use 5000 samples for each class, while for testing purposes, we use 1500 samples for each class. Next, we feed these data into the supervised and unsupervised machine learning classifiers at day. Under supervised models, we have random forest and neural network based multi-layer perceptron with 2 hidden layers. Under supervised models, in case of training, class 0 consists of unit energy QPSK symbols, and we have a surrogate class 1 which consists of equal proportion of 16 QAM, 64 QAM, QPSK with average energies of 0.1 and 0.01. For testing, we use the energies of unit energy QPSK symbols along with the energies of the DTRTF samples from both time slots. To avoid relying solely on the surrogate assumption, we also consider an unsupervised model, namely isolation forest, trained only on energies of unit energy QPSK symbols and tested on energies of DTRTF samples. We vary the probability of false alarm from 0 to 1 in step size of 0.2. For a target probability of false alarm, the detection threshold is set to the 1 minus probability of false alarm quantile of the classifier scores obtained from test samples corresponding to unit energy QPSK symbols. The probability of detection is then computed as the fraction of DTRTF test samples exceeding this threshold. By varying the threshold and computing the corresponding probability of false alarm and probability of detection, we plot the receiver operating characteristics of different ML classifiers. Next, we use deep learning based commonly used model in the field of network security, namely convolutional neural network. Now we will discuss the receiver operating characteristics of different classifiers. From the receiver operating characteristics ROC curves of different classifiers, we observe that the ROC curves do not exhibit a pronounced bulge away from that of the random classifier. This observation confirms that at low values of probability of false alarm, high probabilities of detection cannot be achieved, thereby demonstrating that the proposed countermeasures cannot be detected with a high probability by a data-driven adversary equipped with machine learning classifiers. Now we will discuss the case of an adaptive adversary. Given that the surrogate training approach is assumption-driven and may not accurately capture the signal characteristics of received IQ samples corresponding to the DTRTF symbols, we consider an adaptive adversary that observes the post-countermeasure behavior and collects the IQ samples of DTRTF for training purposes. Since labeled DTRTF symbols are available for training, the adaptive adversary uses their energies to construct class 1 and retain the supervised models, thereby eliminating the need for surrogate class 1. We highlight that for training, class 0 corresponds to unit energy QPSK symbols, while class 1 corresponds to energies of symbols collected under the DTRTF setup. Next, we plot the ROC curves of different ML classifiers for the case of adaptive adversary. For comparison, we also plot the ROC curves for the case when the adversary uses surrogate class 1 for training. From the figure, we observe that the ROC curves of all ML classifiers do not bulge away from that of the random classifier for both cases. We highlight that although the CNN exhibits slightly improved detection performance when the DTRTF samples are used for training, Still, high probabilities of detection cannot be achieved at low values of probability of false alarm. This demonstrates that the DTRTF scheme cannot be detected with a high probability by a data-driven adversary equipped with machine learning classifiers even when their label samples are available for training. We conclude by pointing out that we observe similar behavior for our other proposed cooperative mitigation strategies, namely the RAID-half scheme, which is abbreviated as RHS, and the low latency constrained RAID 3/4 scheme, which is abbreviated as LLC RTF scheme. Thank you.